only thing we have to fear is
in war.
fear itself.
There is no substitute for victory.
Let us never negotiate out of fear.
We stand undivided, forever united, fighting hand in hand for the liberty we burn, for glory and honor, for our sons and daughters, ever mindful of the lessons we've learned. Let the torch of freedom burn.
You find your way to the intersection of faith and politics. Thanks for joining us today on WallBuilders Live with David Barton and Rick Green. I'm Rick Green here with David, and we're talking about things from a biblical and a historical point of view. And from either of those perspectives, David, I can't imagine how you can justify, from either biblical or historical point of view, for America's history anyway, forcing people through the power of government to do things that violate their conscience. In fact, I thought of the American history and biblical model was the opposite of that we wanted people to have freedom of conscience, freedom of convictions, and not being forced to do things that are against what they believe.
Yeah, from the biblical standpoint, it's a no-brainer. There's over 30 verses in the New Testament alone that talk about protecting rights of conscience, and there's a number of verses that specifically tell you to craft policies to protect the rights of religious conscience. So it's such a clear biblical teaching that what you find in America is the same thing. The oldest right protected in America is the right of religious conscience, the right to worship God and serve God according to the way that you read the Scriptures, your Scriptures, and if that's different from everybody else, that's fine. We're not going to force you to conform to everyone else. And so you go back to the Providence, the settlement of Providence in 1640. They protect conscience. And you have 1649, Maryland protects conscience. 1663, Rhode Island protects conscience. 1664, Jersey. 1665, Carolina. You have 1676, West Jersey. 1701, Delaware. 1682, Pennsylvania. I mean, every time a new colony came online, they right off the bat protect conscience. And the reason was that if you don't have protection for the rights of conscience, then that proves that your government is not defending liberty. It is coercive. It is telling you what to think and how to behave, and you will have conformity. So real liberty is measured by religious expression, non-coercion, and the rights of conscience. Those three have always gone together historically. And so that's why in America, I mean, quite frankly, you know, I'm patriotic, you're patriotic. We're very clear on this program about being patriotic. But you and I will both go to the mat any day of the week so that Jehovah's Witnesses are not required to say the Pledge of Allegiance in public schools. Their religious conscience says we can't do that. You know, I'll go to the mat for Quakers not to have to. I got 2 kids in the military right now, but I'll go to the mat for Quakers not to have to fight in wars because that's their religious conscience. You know, our kids all had to go through 12 years of school, compulsory education. I'll go to the mats for Amish because they believe God only wants 8 years of education. I'll fight for that. You know, I vaccinated all my kids for education. Christian Scientists don't believe in vaccination. I'll fight for their right not to have to vaccinate their kids. And just across the board, you know. For me, Sunday's the Sabbath, but I'm going to fight for the right of Seventh-day Adventists and Sabbatarians to have the Saturday as their Sabbath. That's all the rights of conscience. But now the government's coming in and saying, hey, we don't agree with your right of conscience because it doesn't line up with our right of conscience. So, like Henry VIII, we will tell you what you will believe, and we will punish you for not doing so. We're going to treat you like the pilgrims, and we're just going to persecute you.
And they try to separate it from, you know, home and work or whatever. They say you can have your right of conscience at home, but once you step out into the workplace, you're in the public, and you no longer have any convictions or any beliefs. You're going to do what we want you to do.
Well, your right of conscience is what causes you to act the way you do. And so what they're trying to do is separate your conscience, which is your behavior, and say you can behave certain ways at home but not certain ways in public. And that's just not accurate. So what we've got now is in Colorado, we have Masterpiece Cakeshop. We have Jack Phillips who runs that, who by his religious conscience, he's a very dedicated Christian. He said, look, before God's not going to bless me in my conscience if I get out and do something to help encourage or promote or facilitate or condone a homosexual wedding. I just can't do that. And now the government's saying, how would you like a bunch of money taken from you and maybe even jail time over it? You know, this is crazy over his rights of conscience. So it's a story that needs to be out. It's a story that's recurring across the nation right now. Just, I mean, in dozens of places, the type of conscience coercion. But it's a story we all need to hear.
Well, and it reveals a lot about those that would want to force others to participate against their conscience. It tells you a lot about who's really for liberty these days. Back in a moment on WallBuilders Live.
In 1776, the difference of one vote gave America the English language instead of German. In 1876, the difference of one vote made Rutherford Hayes President of the United States. In 1923, the difference of one vote gave Adolf Hitler leadership of the Nazi Party. Get the idea? One vote, yours, makes a huge difference. Vote.
This message brought to you by National Religious Broadcasters.
This is Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal. The Bible is full of stories of men and women whose faith in God led them to take action during difficult times, trusting that He would work all things out for His glory and the good of His people. Today, God's people are once again being called to take action as we seek to restore the values our nation was founded upon and honor those who have given their lives in defense of our freedom. I'm Governor Bobby Jindal, and I'm asking you to stand up. I'm asking you to vote this November.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome back to the intersection of faith and politics. This is WallBuilders Live with David Barton and Rick Green. Thank you for staying with us. Can you imagine if your art, your craft, if you were forced to use it for something that was against your closely held religious beliefs, perhaps even threatened with arrest if you didn't do so, and even re-education for you and your employees? That's exactly what's happening to Jack Phillips in Colorado, simply for not wanting to participate in a homosexual marriage. Jack is with us now, and his attorney, Nicolle Martin. Thank you guys for coming on.
Good afternoon.
So, Nicolle, you've been with Alliance Defending Freedom and dealing with cases like this for a while. This is happening more and more, unfortunately, across the country. I got to tell you guys, first of all, thank you for standing. Jack, thanks for standing by your beliefs. But what was it like to have the government step in and tell you who you could do business with and force you to participate in something that was against your beliefs?
I guess it was pretty surprising because they're supposed to be protecting my freedoms and my constitutional rights, not threatening them and overturning them.
That's a great summation. That's exactly what they should be doing, is protecting those rights. Now they're overturning them and abusing them. Is this? I mean, you've been doing this a while, right? How long have you been in business?
I've actually been in business for 21 years, but I've been working and baking for 40 years.
If I understand right, this was not a situation where you said, I'm not willing to do business with these folks at all. It was, hey, I'll sell them cookies and cakes and different things. I just don't want to make a wedding cake for a homosexual marriage, which I believe is not marriage.
Yeah, our conversation was 20 to 30 seconds long, but it included the fact that, yeah, I will make you cookies and brownies and sell you birthday cakes and shower cakes. I just don't do same-sex wedding cakes, so I didn't turn them away, just turned away the cake itself.
So, Nicolle, why is that? How is that in any way a violation of the customer's rights? If you're willing to serve them, and you're not kicking them out of your business, you're saying there's a particular kind of service that I don't do. I don't do homosexual marriages.
Right. Well, there is no violation of rights, because these are phantom rights that did not exist at the time the young men came into Jack's shop. We did not have gay marriage in the state of Colorado. And in fact, we had a constitutional amendment declaring marriage as a union between one man and one woman. So there were no rights at stake for the young men that came in that day. Wait a minute.
Wait. I didn't realize that. You're saying that when this incident happened, you still had marriage protected in the state of Colorado, so Jack's actually just trying to follow the Constitution in Colorado.
That's correct. So you're right, Rick. Even the state of Colorado doesn't believe that it was discrimination to treat two men differently in the context of marriage. Yes, up until a few days ago, we had a marriage amendment in the state of Colorado, overwhelmingly approved by the Colorado voters.
I'm blown away. Okay, I did not realize that. So that means that and I'm sorry, help me out. Who is which government agency or entity is the one in trying to enforce this on Jack?
This is what's known as the Colorado Civil Rights Commission, or as I like to call it, a human rights tribunal, much like those in Europe. But, you know, the irony here, Rick, is even Europe, their highest human rights court had the good sense to say 14-3 this year that there is no fundamental right to same-sex marriage in Europe. But here in America, even with a constitutional amendment overwhelmingly passed by Coloradans, you better make the cake, create it, and make it for the thing that you can't do in the state of Colorado, which is have a gay marriage at the time.
Okay, Nicolle, you just ruined my day. Thank you, because you just pointed out that Europe is getting something right that we're getting wrong. I'm having a hard time with that.
That's correct, Rick.
Wow.
Rick understands the fundamental nature of marriage, and we're not getting it over here. Oh. That's right.
The thing that bothers me most about all of this is obviously the right of conscience is. I mean, that is a bedrock principle our Constitution stands upon, our Founding Fathers believe so strongly in, and to force people with the threat of fines and jail and all the different things that we're doing to participate, whether it's a doctor being forced to do an abortion or a pharmacist forced to participate in that, or in this case, using your art for something you don't believe in. I mean, it's hard to believe this is happening in our country.
It is. It's supposed to be inviolate. It is the sole reason that the Founding Fathers and all those people came over here to begin with, was to get away from religious persecution. They were, in fact, religious refugees themselves, and they came here to get away from that oppression and that demand from the government that they conform to the government's version of religion. And what we have now, incredibly, lo these many years later, is a government that is turning people like Jack, people like Elaine Hunigan, the pastors in Idaho, the pastors in Houston, turning them into religious refugees once again.
Nicolle Martin and Jack Phillips are our guests. Stay with us on WallBuilders Live.
This is David Barton with another moment from America's history. Our founding fathers, despite their common love for America, did not always agree with each other in politics. Such was the case between John and Samuel Adams. John was the leader of the Federalist Party, and Samuel was the leader of the Anti-Federalist Party. Consequently, political disagreements were not unusual between these two. On October the 4th, 1790, Sam wrote John and told him, "Let ministers and philosophers, statesmen and patriots unite their endeavors to renovate the age by educating their little boys and girls and leading them in the study and practice of the exalted virtues of the Christian system." 2 weeks later, John wrote back and told Samuel that on this issue they both agreed. While these two prominent founding fathers disagreed on much, they both agreed on the importance of educating the next generation in the principles of Christianity.
For more information on God's hand in American history, contact WallBuilders at 1-800-8-REBUILD.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us here on WallBuilders Live. Our guest today, Nicolle Martin. She's an attorney that's representing Jack Phillips in this case where he's being forced to participate in a homosexual marriage. Jack, quick question for you. What part of Colorado are you in?
We're in a suburb of Denver.
Okay, so, you know, Denver being such a small town, I'm sure there's no other place that you can get a cake made, right?
Actually, there's one right across the street, and from what I've read, these guys got offers for cakes worldwide.
Wait. So, you're telling me that there were other options, that there's actually market competition going on in Colorado, so someone if they.
Oddly enough.
Yeah, crazy.
I'm
What?
not the first one to think of opening a cake shop here.
That's the other thing that bugs me about this is these people have no faith in the free market. That if you don't want to provide a particular service, you shouldn't be forced to do so. Somebody else will do it. If there's a need for that service, somebody's going to provide it in the marketplace. And you're telling me not only in the community, but right across the street from you?
Right across the street.
Nicolle, how does that play into this whole legal fight? We're not talking about a good or a service that is only provided by this one person. They can get it next door, in this case, right across the street.
Well, absolutely. And that's why you know that this isn't about getting the cake. It's not. They knew full well that they could get a cake somewhere else, designed and created by somebody who wanted to make that expression. This is about absolute, unequivocal conformity. You will conform, you will accept, or we will destroy you.
And not only accept, you will celebrate and participate. It's not enough for you to tolerate. You're going to celebrate and participate.
Exactly. And we will, and if you don't comply and you don't conform, we will punish you. We will excoriate you in the media. We will excoriate you in the press. We will excoriate you in court. And you will be made to comply. You will be made to accept and to celebrate.
Jack,
that's where we are.
How does this affect business and reputation and just the rest of your life? Whenever all of this is going on around you and you're being accused of, I mean, they're trying to put you in the same boat. I hear it all the time. You're just like the people that refused to serve blacks in the '60s. So it's I mean, it's unbelievable what they're doing. But I'm sure they've got people in the community feeling that way about you right now.
It's turned out that with all the publicity, we've been able to stay busy. But regardless, it's not the government's choice of what kind of cake I should be making. It's my choice. It's my constitutional right to open my business and practice my religious freedom all day, every day.
Jack, you must be reading that 200-year-old document we call a constitution. I mean, you're obviously confused because it is the government's job nowadays to tell you who to serve and how to serve it. And you get it. You understand constitutional rights. I'm impressed, and I appreciate you standing up and being willing to fight for them. I tell you, Nicolle, if you guys don't win these kind of battles, it's just going to get worse. If you don't stand up, and I would imagine, Jack, you probably had to think about, do I want to fight this? Do I want to spend the time and the money and the effort and the energy, or do I want to just, bake the cake or do the classes and just move on with my life? How did you decide, no, I'm not going to give in. I'm going to fight for this?
Because I also read a 2,000-year-old document.
Oh, man, you're good. That's really good.
That one trumps everything. That one trumps the Constitution. That trumps all of our laws, everything. So I'll follow God's word and let the chips fall where they may, so to speak.
Amen. Wow. Nicolle, you dream about clients like this, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, that continues to humble me and amaze me every day. He is a silent and compassionate man that has truly stepped up to the plate and just simply tried to stand against this kind of tyranny. Because I think, Rick, you said it a few moments ago, it is only going to continue to get worse. I mean, you know that first the LGBT activists told us that they just wanted legal recognition for their relationship, not gay marriage.
Right. It was supposed to just be leave us alone and let it be legal, and we'll stay out of your way and you stay out of our way.
That's right. That they wanted, then they told us they wanted gay marriage because civil unions marked them like second-class citizens. And then they told us that no one would be forced to violate their conscience or religious belief if homosexuals were given the right to marry. And certainly no priest or pastor or rabbi would have to perform such a same-sex marriage or union. The reality, Rick, is it was all a fairy tale, because here we are. And then not only must the Jack Phillipses and Elaine Hoonigans of the world lend their expression and their talent to homosexual unions. But now, under the same threats that they've levied against Jack, jail and fines, they are going to fine or jail the ministers in Idaho who run the hitching post for their right to decline to perform a same-sex marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already here. We are living it. And, you know, I don't like the dramatics, but people really need to wake up because they're coming for everybody's conscience.
Yes.
It's an absolute conformity. And you're not even allowed, you know, the Brandon Ikes of the world learned that you're not even allowed to hold your private thoughts about what marriage means to you and God's design for marriage.
Give us a quick 30 seconds on that one, the Brandon Ikes situation.
Brandon Ike was the CEO, was supposed to be the new CEO of Mozilla.
Mozilla, yeah.
And his donation, a record of his donation to the National Organization for Marriage was stolen by some nefarious characters, and we can all probably conclude what movement those activists were from. Nevertheless, his records were stolen, and his private donation to Proposition 8 was leaked in the press. And that is his private political action, his conscience put into private political donation. And they got their pound of flesh, and he's not allowed to have those thoughts and those private beliefs. And he was forced out of Mozilla.
And so it's not just actions, it's thoughts. It's like you said, it's going to be across the board. And you know, dramatics aside, I mean, if this isn't a place to draw a line in the sand where they can actually force you to participate, government force, threat of jail, fines, everything else, forcing you to participate in something that's absolutely against your strongly held beliefs. Now forcing pastors to turn over sermons and tweets and emails and any discussion. I mean, it's Gestapo style now.
That's absolutely accurate. It is diversity through conformity at any cost.
Well, that's why it's so important for you guys to win. It's so important for you to fight this fight, and for others to do the exact same thing. Folks at home, if this happens to you, you need to get a hold of Alliance Defending Freedom. You need to get a hold of Liberty Counsel or one of these other organizations to step in and help you defend those constitutional rights. Jack, I can't thank you enough, brother. God bless you for standing. We're praying for you. We're going to do everything we can to help you. And Nicolle, thanks for standing in the gap. You guys, God bless you. Keep up the good fight.
Thanks, Rick.
You bet.
And by the way, please come back and keep us updated. What is, before I let you go, what's the next step in the battle?
The next step is we are going to be filing our appellate brief with the Colorado Court of Appeals here fairly soon.
All right. Well, if you would keep us updated, we'd love to have you back on.
We would love that. Thank you so much.
Stay with us, folks. Back in a moment with David Barton.
This is Dr. Tony Evans with the Urban Alternative, and I have one simple question. Do you plan to vote? If not, why not? It's an opportunity to participate in this republic in a unique way. Don't stand on the sideline and throw stones when you can get in the game and cast a ballot.
This message brought to you by National Religious Broadcasters, reminding you, make plans now and vote November 4th.
This is Governor Rick Perry. Throughout American history, people of faith have risen to the task of meeting difficult challenges. Today, we're once again being called to action to restore our nation, this time at the ballot box. Your vote is your voice. When you vote your values, you send a message that America remains one nation under God. I'm Governor Rick Perry, and I'm asking you to stand up and be heard. I'm asking you to vote this November.
Let the torch of freedom burn.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. And I'm back here with David Barton. Now, David, man, I love what this guy had to say. I mean, he knows what he believes, and he's willing to go to the mat for it.
Well, it's interesting. I love too what Nicolle said. These are phantom rights, because at the time this happened, and I didn't realize this, at the time it happened, the constitutional amendment was in place in Colorado. By the Constitution of Colorado, homosexual marriage is not recognized. He's taken a position in line with the law. And he's now being persecuted for that by government because he didn't believe the right thing that they wanted to believe about law. I mean, this is crazy. And I love what Nicolle said, is that we now have a government that's turning our people into religious refugees once again. Yeah, we might as well be back in France. We might as well be back in Great Britain, because this is the way this country was founded, was the government getting into the rights of conscience, telling you what to believe and how to behave. And you know, and in this case, When, as Jack said, there's another baker across the street, and there's all these bakers all over the place that volunteered to do this, these guys are just singling him out for persecution. It is that simple. It was not that nobody else in town did a cake. Everybody else offered to do it for him. But they want to make him bend his conscience. And he's not going to do it. Bless his heart for standing up and keeping his stand before God. He's going to answer to God, not the government. And this is the kind of backbone you've got to have as Christians.
Well, it's no longer there is coming a day where people are going to have to decide. That day is here. You got to decide whom you're going to serve. Thanks for listening today to WallBuilders Live.
We stand undivided.